Welcome back. This is Dan Havey with CFninjaHacks, and today Nicole had a question in the Ninja Hackers Inner Circle group about how she could get a video to play full width on a page like this and at the same time still scroll, because with ClickFunnels built in, the way it works is it actually is just a background video. So let me just show you that real quick. So let's come into ClickFunnels, and if we want to set up just a background video, and I'll show you a way to do this in the end, but I want to show you some of the built-in features real quick. So we can come into our settings, we come down to background, and in here we go, we turn this on to true, so background video to true. I don't know why it was showing false there. And then you can only use you can only use a YouTube video, so you got to drop in your YouTube video URL right there. And then what it'll do is it'll automatically pull the thumbnail or any image or whatever it does out of YouTube, and that's what you'll see displayed on the screen here. So if we were to save this and then preview it, so let's just save and preview, what we're going to get is we're going to get this video playing in the background. Now, the reason why you can see this and I can scroll up over the top of it is I had to come in and I had to build out a section at the very top of the page. It's right here. And what I did is I gave it some CSS that said, make this 100% of the viewport height. So it's going to take up the entire page by doing that. And then, of course, over the top of that, you could do things like come in here. You could put in a one-column row, and you can put in a headline and anything else you wanted to do on this page. You can put a whole bunch of this on here. And then when we preview it again, that text, of course, will be over the top of the video. So here's the video fading in, and it takes a little bit, just like a second for it to fade in. I think that's fine. So it goes from basically the thumbnail to the video playing. Now let's inspect this page and take a look at this video itself, because where it lives is right here. So right after the body tag, it says here tubular container, and this is what holds the video in it. And up here in the HTML tag itself is where you have the thumbnail for the video itself is up here, but the video itself is right here in this iframe. And so what we can do is, let's say we want to come in here and we want to say, well, we want the height to only be 50% because we don't want a tall video like that. Well, what you see it does is, because let's go back to Nicole's example, obviously this is not the full height of the page. And so it fits in here very nicely the way they have it. And so if we were to want to do that, using this YouTube video would be a challenge, because we could not make it any smaller than what basically YouTube provides to us. And if we try to make it smaller, then we're going to see what is the thumbnail sticking out behind it if I try to make it any smaller than the height of the element that I have it bounded by. So this is not a real good way to do it if you want it to be able to scroll with the screen. So now let's go back into our original example, and actually let's just delete out this section. We'll get rid of that completely. And now we have a second section here, and let me show you how this looks on my page. Let me refresh this a little bit. Get rid of that top part. Well, didn't like that, so let's come here. I'm going to cook some meatballs later, so I got my recipe up on the screen. And it's not wanting to do this because I never clicked save, did I? So let's try this again. Reload the page. Okay, so now we have here a YouTube video. So let's take a look at that. In this case here, it scrolls, but again, we're going to have sizing issues. So what I did first off is I came into the CSS and I had to do a little bit of work in here, because I have to say, okay, we want to take all the container elements and the inner element inside of it, known as container inner, with the class of container inner, and we want to make all those 100% width. So we go all the way out to the edge, and then because of Bootstrap, then we also still have the gutters in between, the 15 pixels on either side of a lot of these elements, so we have to put in this as well in order to clean out all of the possible different areas where we can have padding on this section. So we clean out all that padding, and then we are left with our element. And what we do is we come in, we drop in, build an element or a section like you normally would a section a single column row and then an element. And then we would come over here to advanced, and we're going to say full width. So we say full width there, and then we need to come into our row and make sure we got all the padding and everything taken out of the row and any unwanted margin. So we're going to, because again, we want to go 100% on the page inside the section, fill up the whole section. So now we can save it, and once again we will preview it. And so now we have a video playing at the top of the page, and we can click play on this here, and I will stop that. But again, let me kill that out of there. Again, it scrolls up nicely, but it takes up the entirety of the page. And if you try to go in, so let's go inside of the element here, and you can put in your optional height and width. So I tested that, and I put in a smaller number, and all it does is it crops off the top and the bottom of the video, so you're just like left with the middle piece. So if you can go through the trouble of making a video where you just have the middle piece showing, well, good luck with that, but I'll show you an easier way to do this right now. So again, that's it gives us what we want, is to scroll on the page, but it's not going to give us really the solution we're looking for. So this down here is close to the solution we're looking for, and I will show you how I did this. So again, in this case here, well, actually, let's just do this. Can I do this? Let's go to section here. What I want to do is come into this section, give it some room so I can actually get to the green thing here, and we will move this down all the way to the bottom, just get it out of our way. Okay, so now what we did is, again, the CSS, this is controlling all the sections on the page, making all the sections 100% width, and then getting rid of all the padding as well in these sections. And then we have to also come in to the section we're creating. And you could, within this section, you could do stuff like, let's say we want to put some text in here with this. So we want to put some text above the video. Come on, jump in there. Okay, so we'll put this, we'll pull it up above it. Well, maybe we won't, but you get the idea. So we can put some text in here with this. I don't know why it's fighting me so much. So let's say we've got this text right above where we want our video or wherever, so you can do it inside of here. But again, in the example, they had everything, just the video inside of this section. I guess they did have some text up here, because as you scroll, if I recall, yeah, the text does turn white, but that's for another lesson, as they say. So the first thing we have to do is we have to come in and get rid of all the padding around this again. So let's go out to our section. We'll get rid of padding on all sides, and we'll go into the row, and we'll take it out there as well. So now this should be taking up the entirety of that section. So once I come inside, now we got a custom JavaScript HTML box, and I'll show you right now there is no tracking code in here at all. It's put right into the custom JavaScript HTML box, and this code is actually pretty simple. It's we start off at the very top here with a video element or a video tag, and you pretty much want to just copy this as is. So it's autoplay, muted, loop, plays in line, and then we have an ID of my video, because we need to be able to call that down here and also in the styling. And then what you do next is you put in source and then src equals, and this here is the link that I have for this video stored in Amazon S3. Now, I'm pretty sure you could also use Google Drive or Dropbox or just about anywhere else you could store a video, and put that in here as well. And then at the end, we just say type is video MP4. So if it's any other kind of player, you'd have to change this right here. I think you can use something very similar to this for audio as well. Maybe you have to change the word audio there. I don't know. Google that and find out. So then below that, we just put in a little bit of a styling, and all it says is we want that video to be 100% width. So it's going to be 100% of the width of the bounding element, and in this case, that would be basically the entirety of the page. And then our last little bit here, we just run a little function, and this means just do it as soon as the page is loading, run it immediately. And we're going to say we want, we're just going to create a variable, and we're going to say we want that variable to tell us what is the height of this element. This is what the totality of this says here, is we need to figure out what is the height of this video element. We know the width is going to be 100%, but because we want to keep the aspect ratio on it, we then have to calculate what the height is. And once we calculate the height, then we apply it to the row that this element is inside of, so that that row is exactly the same height. And remember, we took out all the padding and everything, so that will give us that section height will then be exactly the height of the video. So that's what we do here, and that is all the code. But I will tell you, there's something you can really do when you use this type of a video where you have it housed somewhere other than YouTube or Vimeo or something else. You can set up a timer inside of here that says, as the video is playing, once it gets to like the 3-minute and 42-second mark in the video, to then do something on the page, to show some content on the page, remove content, do whatever you want. But you're able to create a timer. But again, that's for a different video. So what we're going to do now is we are going to save this. And then let's just refresh our page. And what we should have now is a full width video of Liz Benny. I have no idea where I got this video from, but in the case of what we were looking at before, we want to move this up to the top, and we will save and preview again. And then pretty much, so it takes a little bit to load up there. So maybe in that case there, what we want to do is come into here. We want to come to our background, and we want to turn off this video. And so, and right here, we're going to get rid of that image as well. And we're going to make it a black background. Okay, let's save it. We got a little bit of bug going on these days inside of ClickFunnels with the color. So let's go back to background here, and let's make that background black behind it. And now we will save it and preview, so that if anything pops up ahead of time, it'll just be black, and then the video will lay in over the top of it. So, well, actually, I guess what's happening is it's thinking that it's not there at first. So this was up to the top, and then it pushed down after a split second. So if that were to be a problem, and I don't think it should be, I'm sure we could probably do something to say, okay, let's create this space so that it's there, and then the video will come into that space, and that way it'll keep this from moving up. But again, Nicole, if that's something you need, if it's not working right for you, just reach out to me. So I think that's it. It's a pretty simple, easy little way to be able to put any video you want, any shape and size you want, into the background of a section. And again, in this case here, of course, because it is the background of a section, we could actually even, it's going to take a little finagling, but you could actually get it so that there's content over the top of it. And in fact, before I sign out here, let's just do this. Let's drag these text elements up into here. Let's put this in between. Okay, let's save that, and let's see what we come up with. See where those items land on it. Okay, so they went above and below it. So that would be another thing, again, I'd have to work on to come in here. And if you absolutely needed text or anything else over the image, I'm sure we could take care of that as well. So as always, if you got any questions, just let me know.